And Alex, Eastman were in terrific form, claiming big scalps along the way. They had their bubble burst by Subiaco last weekend. On paper, they do look good, but they really had a form slump last weekend. They've got to just rise above it because it's today counts for everything.
They'll have to write it off as an aberration, Phil. They only had 2 players who collected more than 20 disposals. They were just smashed in terms of ball use, which has been their big thing. They've got all these runners through the middle who find plenty of it and run forward in waves. South Fremantle's form's been a bit patchy as well. They've lost 4 of their last 7, but I'm really looking forward to this. This is exactly what footy is all about, a cutthroat game on the eve of the finals. It should be fantastic.
Well,
It's round 24, not yet finals, but it is a cutthroat match. The winner goes on to play next week. The loser, their season ends today. Young almost threw it out. It's spilled to North, who just hacks it onto the boot towards half forward. The bounce beat Wilson. Tapping it away was Brennan, and running at it full-chested, but he met a hard man coming the other way. That's Reece Adams to Miller. Back to Reece Adams. He pokes it inside 50. Palumbo trapped it with his foot. Delolio kept running. Hazelby so good below his knees. Releases Miller against his old club. He sprays this wide and does not register a score.
Let's go to Rod Willett.
He's a smart player, Rory O'Brien. More free kicks than anybody in the competition this year. Young got it down. It came to O'Brien, but Winter got in front of him, paddled to his own advantage. Then to Miller. Great shepherd by Winter. Allowed Miller to get away and place it into the corridor. The kick just drifts wide of Murphy, but he's got time to track it, and a couple of metres on Willer. Flicks the handball over the top to Delolio, who slips Stevens, straightens up, runs into trouble, gives it off to Palumbo. He kicks south first. Well done, Delolio. Showing the smarts and toe to get past his opponent and then to give it over the top, and Palumbo puts South on the ball.
It was a very clever kick from Chris Miller, wasn't it?
Cook's had a fantastic year. He could be leading South Fremantle's best and fairest at the moment. Short for Palumbo. He'll go back to Cook.
Whatever it's called.
Off the left for Hazelby, pushing a long way up the ground to get a touch. Hands off to Bairstow. The kick's high. In the box seat there was McNamara, but a lovely jump coming across by Magumba. He looks in good touch on return. 1-2 with head. Cruises inside 50. Awkward kicking style, but he's placed it out in front of Winter and found him.
How good is Paul Magumba to watch?
So with Jared Winter, he kicked 10 goals in the first 5 matches this year and then none in the next 6, and he's kicked a goal in each of his last 3. So this, from close range, shouldn't miss. He has. He pulled it. Behind, well, that was almost a gimme despite the angle.
Pickles on.
Throwing it half forward. Murphy won it down. Magumba, sticky hands, but then gave it up. Monteith hooks it out of traffic. Numbers here with the Bulldogs. White was brave, and roving Gully, speak of the devil, on cue, gets it off to McCarry. Then to White. It's inside the 50, well attacked by Brennan. What a fabulous pickup on the half volley, but he pulled his kick and turned it over. Murphy to Miller, deft little kick into the pocket to find Hazelby. Well, if anyone can pull off the short passes in this kind of weather, it's Chris Miller.
You see on screen, just sneaking off into the distance.
It's a classy finish. This is a tight angle. He's already got 1, make that 2. The goal umpire did not move. And Souths put the lead out to 9 points, their second biggest lead of the match, as we see Reece Palmer looking on.
Great finish from Paul Hazelby, and look, you called it, Alex, fantastically well with, as we see on here, young Brennan. It was a great pick up and spin out of trouble, but just tried to be a little bit cute in the conditions. Should have just taken the yardage, gone down the line, and there's his opponent who's ducked off out the back. Uncontested mark and a goal from 35 out.
So 100 goals in his WAFL career, Rory O'Brien, and it's been a very good career indeed. 92 matches with Peel, including a best and fairest last year, and he'll go very close in the best and fairest at East Fremantle this year, and might be amongst the Sandover votes. You never know. Adams kicks towards half forward. The fist from Shepherd, well read by Winter. Great releasing hand pass to Palumbo, who steadies and fires and gets one back immediately. Palumbo gets his second, and the lead is back to 9 points.
Well, how quick a reply was that, Brad?
At the back, Murphy, great tap. Cook, great awareness to get it to Phillips, who hooks it inside the 50. Good fist from Stephen away from Delolio, but Bairstow front and square again. Hooks it back to the corridor. Hazelby had it fisted away. Dangerous times for East Fremantle. In the shadows of half-time, Phillips couldn't get a clear possession. Bairstow just threw it out. Magumba got through traffic. Off the outside of the right, he floats it across the face. Holding. Which way?
Wilson.
Free kick to Callum Wilson. The fans loved it. holding before the football got there against Jacob Brennan. He pleads his case, but...
So we see it on replay. Definitely got that other arm, hasn't he?
Callum Wilson has already got 1-1 today. 44-23 on the year. Point blank range. He slots it. Biggest lead of the match now for South Fremantle as we tick to half-time here at Fremantle Oval. And the Bulldogs have asserted their authority late in that term. 8-5-53 they lead the Sharks. 5-7-37 in this all-important round 24 decider. The loser will be eliminated. Well, it's got to alarming stages now. 21 is the lead. It's the biggest lead of the match. And Bairstow again with the takeaway for South to Cook, who places it to the 50. And strong in the hands is Wilson. He's within range here. He's a thumping kick. He sets it up towards the kick-off line. Murphy caught behind. Oh, roving front and square was Winter. The fist fell into his arms and the finish was sublime. The lead is now 27 and real concerns for East Fremantle as their season is slipping away ever so quickly.
Spot on, Alex. And
McGrath just happy to hold possession. Short for Lease. Just a hand over to North. They've done this a few times today. Try and release it through hands on the way out. It's worked this time. Cook to White. Over the top looking for Bairstow. Hasn't he had a day out? Lease kept running. Back for Bairstow. The bounce sat magnificently for him. He has a bounce and a second. He can add 3 or 4 and run all the way to 50 here. He has a third. Forces Teagle to come at him. Just sells the dummy and steps past with ease. Runs to the paint. Fires it to the teeth of goal. Wilson should have hung on. At the back. Delolio couldn't get a toe to it. Another behind. Well, two back to 25. What do we Fremantle need to do here, Brad?
Slowly, slowly. One more.
Young down to the front. Well read by Adams. Released it. Lease attacked it. Couldn't get control of it. It was thrown out of there by Hadley. It's made its way towards the boundary line, but North kept it in, showing all of his experience. Brilliantly done. Off to the run of Cook. Hasn't he been fantastic? His non-preferred left is just in hope more than anything to a 2-on-1. Magumbo did well to force the contest, but numbers with the Sharks. Shepherd's hand pass was too hot for Chidlow, and now the turnover. Adams, Magumbo, Palumbo. There's a man out. That was Winter, and now Murphy all on his own at the 50. He can run all the way to 30. One bounce, just needs to steady, take his time and kick it over the goal umpire's hat. He does exactly that. Murphy gets his second of the term. And finally, South Fremantle break a string of 5 consecutive behinds and get a major to put the margin back to 31 points.
Couple of great efforts from Phillips. The smother down here in front of the commentary box. Just a hand in there. Just the little things.
Shows the desperation. The Bulldogs at the moment seem to want it more. The winner goes on to play next week. The loser, their season is over. And right now, East Fremantle are in dire straits. McNamara hooks it out of traffic. Fasolo had it knocked away by Bairstow, who's been wonderful. McGough's tap, very clever to O'Brien. Played for the contact. Cook laid a very good tackle. A legal one at that. And then North emerges from traffic, gets it to Haywood. Lovely releasing hand pass to Winter. He's racing off centre half back. Good chase and an even better shepherd by Cooper. Gives Winter the time to kick out in front of Delolio, who'll turn his opponent inside out. Away from Stephen. Drills it into the corridor and picks out Brennan, who is sitting between 2 Bulldogs.
What an anticlimax, Brennan.
Haywood won it. Came back to Young. Cooper got his arms free. Couldn't get a clean hand pass out. Charging through Adams. He's been like a bull of the gate today. That went wide to Stevens. Trying to work his way into the game. We haven't seen much of him. He saw McNamara into trouble. Ran straight into Winter and got dumped. The football has found its way out the back door in a rolling wall. Adams again, brilliantly to Bairstow. This will be his 30th possession from 48. This is a wonderful effort. A magnificent goal. Bairstow kicks his first of the day. He's been the best man on the ground by a mile.
Well, his
and
30th
South
possession,
Fremantle
that was his best, Alex, wasn't it?
37-point leaders, and you think they have all but sewn up 4th spot on the WAFL ladder.
Fantastic call, Alex, and you can fill out the Sandover medal card right now with number 4, T. Bairstow.
Alex Malcolm to get us underway in the final term.
South led by 9 points at quarter time, 16 at half time, and blew that margin open to 43 points the last change. They're going to the right of screen in this last quarter. They've got 1 foot in the final series. It's a matter of now finishing it off. Bairstow had his kick smothered. That would have been his 33rd touch. It's a season high for him already, and we've still got a quarter to play. The football is locked up. Brad, how can you explain East Fremantle's fall from grace? They beat West Perth, they beat Claremont, and then they've dropped 2 games now to Subiaco and South and dropped out of the finals contention. Yeah,
it's hard to put one finger on it, but the late Alan Jean said the game is 90% above the shoulders, and I think he's right on the money there.
In the context of this game, that is absolutely true. And we spoke about the want of the footy, and the Bulldogs have just hunted in packs. And they continue to do so, even Murphy putting his body on the line. Brock O'Brien's been thrown into the middle to see if he can have an impact, but he didn't get rid of it there or even attempt to, and so he has been penalised holding the ball. Delolio got him. He'll place it for the lead of Wilson, and he found him. Good grab. No, it wasn't paid. According to the umpire, it hit the turf, and the umpire will now bounce it. Wilson will plead his case. Bulldogs fans didn't like it. Looked pretty clean.
Now, the umpire was in a very good position
call
to see that.
Okay.
Stephen Dodd's been swung forward for East Fremantle.
Hasn't kicked a goal all year, so that is a real desperation move. Shepherd to Brown. It just was besieged by Murphy and Magumba, and the football spills over and out. Their forward pressure has been outstanding today, the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Bizarre day for Corey Delolio. Kick-in's been marked well by Brennan. Continues to fight hard. It was a shock, though, to see him on the bench at the start of the 3rd term. He hands off here to Teagle, who's been extremely quiet, as we heard it at 3/4 time. Arms have been chopped there, so Shepherd with the free kick. Teagle's the second on East Fremantle's goal-kicking list, and he's been playing loose in defence today and has hardly touched it. It's been set high. Dodd flew, didn't really get anywhere near it. Adams, brilliant to head. Hayward back to head. And rather than use that raking left boot, he dabs it very short. Cook continues to rack it up. Goes into the middle. North's been very impressive on his return. Wonderful player. Premiership player in 2005. The short pass set a task for Bairstow. The backhand was very clever. North, in fact, Cook ran on, got his hands clear. Bairstow fired a bullet out the back door. Adams, his kick was poor. Turned it over. Dodd to Rory O'Brien, and just cruises through the middle. Being pursued by Phillips. He drew the free kick. He got it out to his brother, who takes on McGrath, and then just pulls it back with a clever kick. It won't quite get to Monteith. The bounce was kind. He can give it to Dodd, who spots a man in the corridor. That's for Solo, and he's marked 35 out directly in front. The Sharks can maybe get the first major of the last term. So Fasolo's kicked 7 goals for this year from 12 matches so far. He leans back on this one, and the goal umpire doesn't move. Nice finish from Lewis Fasolo. Can that spark something? Margin back to 38 points. Forced to go down the line after he looked inboard and options dried up. Lestier had a good piece of it, couldn't hang on. Brennan showing some toe, getting away from a couple, and then hands inboard to Shepherd. On to Monteith. He's got a man at centre half forward. Brock O'Brien sits and waits. He can steady from 48. He hooks it left to right, but he threads it through for a goal. They get 2 in a row. And Brock O'Brien gets his second. Maybe they're mounting a return, a comeback of sorts. 32 is the gap now. There's only 13.5 minutes gone. Margin back to 26. It's 3 goals to 2 behinds for the term. This perhaps isn't over yet. Murphy won the tap, and then it bounced back off his head. Adams a little toe poke. McNamara has sparked them in this last term, but his kick found the chest of Hayden North. Looking for a steadying option. Goes in the winter direction. Brave from Houlihan to get back and spoil. Reece Adams twisting and turning to Winter. Numbers inboard. Head will turn onto that favoured left and just hoof it inside 50. It might drop a little short. Hayes will be forced to spoil from behind. It fell for Adams. Was surprised how much space he had, and the vision and awareness was brilliant to find Phillips. How clever was that, Brad?
Great use. Really good vision. Big fist here from Hazelby, I think.
Yeah, great punch by Hazelby.
And then just the awareness around.
That was his 23rd possession, Theo Adams, and He's been another you'll think will be going into the umpires' books for votes this afternoon.
This could be the kill shot. 8 matches this year, 8 goals straight for last year's best and fairest. This does not deviate off the straight, and the Bulldogs might well be home thanks to a goal to Nathan Phillips.